on today's episode of Skylar Buys Too Many Books. Today is a little bit of a different video, kind of along the lines of an unhaul, something I've never done on my channel before, and this was very much inspired by a video that I saw back last year that my lovely friend Sammy did. I don't think she was the first person to do it, but she was the first person I saw do it, and I'll link her video in the description because firstly she's lovely and you should watch her videos because they're great, and secondly it's a great video. And what she did in that video was kind of these books will self-destruct in 12 months thing, and I saw that and thought, ooh, that would be a good one to keep in mind considering I buy too many books and simply do not have the time in the world to read them all, so I need to kind of get better at holding myself more accountable on what I keep and what I get rid of, which is why I'm stealing the idea and I'm doing this today. So I have in front of me 7 books, and these are mainly from my top 2 shelves. So the shelves are like directly behind me are like the shelves that have the books that I read a lot and like kind of my priority, you know, like mainly all like the fantasy books, either ones that I want to put on display for like my filming background, which you know, is why I have most of like my favourites and things here. And then on the top is a lot of books that I bought mostly last year, and I haven't gotten around to reading, and to be honest with you, a lot of them I'm not really that interested in reading anymore, just because going back to like the first half of 2020, my reading tastes were very different to the second half of 2020 and what they are now. There was kind of a switch where I discovered I really liked adult fantasy, and that's pretty much all I've read since. I have a lot of YA fantasy, YA contemporary up the top of the shelf that I just don't really get excited by much anymore. Like, I bought them when I was interested in them and I'm just not really that interested now. But I bought them and it would be kind of a shame to just not read them. So I thought if I do this kind of self-destruct video, I can maybe squeeze them in, have a reason to read them, and get them off my shelf. Who knows, maybe I'll fall back in love with these genres too, because I don't think I dislike YA. I just don't find myself gravitating towards it much anymore, which is fine. I just have a lot of it that I haven't read and I would like to, and to be honest with you, I think there's only one YA fantasy on here, to be honest with you. Most of the YA fantasy is on my Kindle, which is a whole other mess that I just do not even, I don't even like thinking about it. There's just, that's a whole other topic for another time. So basically I have these books, and if I don't read them within the next 12 months, they will be swiftly unhauled, donated, sold, wherever. But yeah, we'll come back to this in 12 months and see how I did. And if you have read any of these, please do let me know. Let me know what you thought, which ones I should prioritise, which ones I should definitely get to, which ones maybe I should give a miss. So, without further ado, let's go. The first 3 are on a theme. So the first 2 are very much on a theme, and those are One of Us is Lying and The Cousins by Karen M. McManus, which have very nice sprayed edges, and honestly probably the edges are the only reason I've kept them as long as I have. So I bought One of Us is Lying, oh god, honestly I want to say like 2 years ago. I bought this a long ass time ago. I got it in Tesco's, I think, and I was like, yeah, that sounds kind of fun. It sounds like The Breakfast Club but YA murder mystery. And I bought this before I got really back into reading, and I'd never heard of this, and I didn't realise it was just like this insanely popular book that's just like always on the bestseller lists and like does very well in the YA mystery thriller crowd. So I'm sure it is great. I just don't think I've ever read a YA thriller. I'm not sure how that would go. I quite like a thriller, like an adult thriller every now and again, but I'm not sure about a YA thriller. Like, is it gonna actually be a mystery? Or is it just going to be really obvious? I don't know, but I haven't read it, and I probably should because I've had it for a long ass time. And then I also have The Cousins, which I got free in an Illuma crate, I think December last year, like a Christmas extra book thing. And this was her newest one. I don't know if she's got another one now, but I think it's similar vibe, YA thriller murder mystery thing. And I like the covers and things, and I also have One of Us Is Next on Kindle too, so I should definitely read this and just like, because I'd imagine they're quite easy to read, you know, they're like less than 400 pages, they're like pretty easy to read probably, so I could probably just binge them, which might be an idea, so then I could just crack on with it and get rid of it if I don't like it, or if I just can't see myself rereading it. I also just don't really reread thrillers, just generally, just because once the mystery's gone I just don't really see the point. So I'm likely to read this and then get rid of it anyway, regardless of if I like it. So yeah, that is these two. And then on a similar note of kind of YA thriller, I also have A Good Girl's Guide to Murder by Holly Jackson. I've had this for over a year now, and again, very, very popular, everyone loves it, and like very popular with the kind of YA thriller / contemporary kind of crowd. I just haven't read it because, again, I just never, even when I was reading more YA, I just generally gravitated towards more fantasy and romance anyway, like the same as I do now. Kind of contemporary and thrillery type books I don't pick up very often, just every now and again. So I definitely do want to get to this just because I know so many people who love it, and also there's like another 2 books, right? Like I think the 3rd one came out like a couple of weeks ago, so I should definitely get to this. And something I was thinking about doing was potentially, if you are interested in this, please do let me know, because I would like to do it if people would want it. Is kind of a, not like a taste test, but kind of with YA thrillers and murder mysteries and things, because I bought Ace of Spades last week and I've heard that one's really good, and I'm very, very excited about that. And I've got a couple on my Kindle too, so I could read like a bunch. I could spend like a couple of weeks reading a whole bunch of YA thrillers and talking about them, potentially, maybe. If you're interested in that, let me know, because it would give me an excuse to get rid of some of these off my TBR. And yeah, I don't know, just please let me know if you'd be interested in that. Then I guess I'll stay on the thriller front. I have Hidden Bodies, which is the 2nd book in the You series. So I, like everyone, love the Netflix series. Netflix series is wonderful, it's so good. And I bought the first book after I watched the first series because I loved it so much, and I was like, it's a book, I need to read it. And I really enjoyed it. I think I gave it like a 4 star. It was creepier, I thought. Like, reading Joe's like inner monologue is so much creepier than like hearing it and watching him say it. I don't know how, but it was weird and creepy. I'd imagine, honestly, the audiobook would be really good. I don't really read audiobooks, but if you do, I think that would probably be a really good one. But anyway, then the series 2 came out, and I got the 2nd book, and I haven't read it yet because I watched the series and then I just, I don't know, I just never got around to it. And it's been like over a year now. I think series 3 is probably coming out like, I don't know, start of next year maybe, a few months. But I haven't read the 2nd book, and I don't know, it just never pops into my brain to read it. It's like right to the top of my shelf, but like I just don't see it. And again, I think this could give me an excuse to finally get to it. So yeah, this one is another one. Then I'm gonna go with Crazy Rich Asians by Kevin Kwan, which I bought this in the works about a year and a half, maybe 2 years ago, and it was £1. I watched the film on Netflix and I really liked it. I thought it was really good. I never really thought about reading the book, but then I saw it was £1, so I thought I'll read it at some point, I'm sure. But this was before I got like more into reading, when my TBR used to be like 2 books, and now I'm just surrounded in piles of books. Back when I was young and naive. But I've just never really got around to it. I also have the second and the third books on Kindle. So again, I could definitely just binge this. It never pops into my head. I don't know what to tell you. I just have like, you know what it is? Because I read fantasy more than anything else, and I mainly read kind of bigger series, I prioritise series more than I do other books. Like, I know this is a series too, but I'm always like planning the next big fantasy series to read. Like, I'm in the middle of Wheel of Time right now. I'm also in the middle of Joe Abercrombie's First Law, which I have like 4 books left in. I have a million Wheel of Time books left. I'm only on book 3. And then I'm like, oh, and then I want to read Robin Hobb's books, which is like another million books. So I'm like constantly planning like huge series, like 10 books plus. So little series and standalones and things just kind of fall to the wayside, and I just never seem to find the time to pick them up. So again, I'm hoping this video will hold me accountable. Please. Then I have one that I bought when I was, I want to say like 16, so we're talking a long time ago now, because I'm old. And I bought this when I was in my like 16-year-old, like 15, 16 phase of like, I used to watch Zoella a lot. I still watch her vlogs, but I used to like religiously watch Zoella videos. And she used to have a book club. I never read any of the, like, I never was a part of the book club, like reading them monthly, but I would always like keep an eye out. Like, it was because of her, I think she had All the Bright Places was like one of her favourite books, so I of course loved that book. I'm not sure if I'd love it now, but I loved it at the time. And one of the books that she talked about was Billy and Me by Giovanna Fletcher, and I love Tom and Giovanna Fletcher. I think they're amazing. I grew up with McFly. I love McFly. I love the pair of them. I think they both just really, really just lovely, and I love following them. But I've never read one of her books, and I've had this for about 7 years. Like, when did this come out? This came out, like, the pages have yellowed. That's how long I've had this. This was published in 2013. So yeah, and this wasn't that old when I got it, so I've had this for a long ass time. I should probably read it. And actually, just to add another book, another one that was on the Zoella book club was The One We Fell in Love With by Paige Toon, and I think I bought this at the same time as Billy and Me, and I never read either of them. So, you know, that's just great. So maybe I'll add this too, just for funsies. And there's a blurb by Giovanna Fletcher on this. Like, these two peas in a pod, they just go together. So maybe these two should be added to my list because I've had them for so effing long. So yes, I'm going to add these. And then I have 2 books left. Well, 1 book and 1 series. So first of all, I'm going to go with The Fallen in Love Montage by Kira Smith. This I bought last year, again when I was reading more YA, contemporary YA romance. But I bought this kind of on the cusp of when I just stopped reading it, which really sucks because I heard really good things about this, and I would love to read it. And I don't really want to unhaul. I don't want to unhaul this. I don't want to. But I need an excuse to read it, which is why it's in this video. But yeah, I'm excited about this. It's a sapphic YA romance, and I think it touches on some darker topics, and I'm excited because I heard really good things about this. Also, I have a real colour scheme going on with these books. Like this, Billy and Me, and Crazy Rich Asians. Just the colour scheme. Look at it. Hello? Wow. Meant to be. It was meant to be. And then finally we have the Lunar Chronicles series, which I couldn't remember the name of, by Marissa Meyer. This is one of the short story collections. I have the full series up. It's just under a bunch of stuff and I couldn't be bothered to get it. So we have this. I've talked about the Lunar Chronicles a few times now because I bought this as a full collection. I got the full quartet plus this short story collection. I think there's another short story collection that I don't have. Back in April last year, got a second hand on eBay. It was really cheap, it was like 15 quid for the whole thing, and I thought, yeah, that sounds great, because I knew a lot of people who liked it, and I thought, yeah, why not? And at the time, I still don't really read sci-fi much, but at the time I had read like no sci-fi, so I was really skeptical of it, because I know it has like kind of sci-fi elements to it, but the time just never came up to read it. Like, I don't know how to describe it. I'm sure everyone can relate, but like, when you buy a book and you're so excited about it, and then it's always like just below the like priority of your TBR, and then like you keep just pushing down and pushing it down, and then just never end up getting to it. That is me with Lunar Chronicles. It haunts me. It haunts my nightmares because it sat there staring at me, and I just need to read it. I need to read it, so I'm hoping once again this might give me the shove to just start it. Like with this like 12 months Self-Destruct thing, I'm not including the full series in this, where I would like to start it in the next 12 months, because then even if I read the first book I decide it's not for me, I can get rid of them all. But I would like to start it at the very least, because it literally haunts me. I can't explain it to you, but every time I see it on my shelf I'm like, oh, just it niggles at me and just annoys me. So, and it's my fault. I don't know why it annoys me so much, but it's my fault. But yes, those are all the books that I am putting on my Self-Destruct list for 12 months time, when I will revisit and I will update you on all 12 books and if I read them, if I'm getting rid of them, what the deal is. So look forward to that. I think this is like a fun thing to do kind of yearly, as like a mini purge of the bookshelf, you know, like not a full unhauled, because that's something I struggle with, but just to keep things from falling to the bottom of the list constantly. So yeah, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. Let me know what's on your TBR, what your Lunar Chronicles is. Let me know what is on your shelf, because everyone has something surely that is on their shelf that just you never quite get to, and every time you see it you're annoyed at yourself a little bit, but you just still never pick it up. I'm sure everyone has one, and I would be interested to know what that is. But yes, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. I will see you next time, and again in 12 months time with an update for this. So yeah, bye.